right, hello Citizenship Class. I hope you are doing well, that you are staying healthy, that you are, of course, washing your hands a lot, and continuing to practice social distance, meaning that you're 6 feet away from people in public places. So this week, I thought I would try to do something a little different and send you some pictures of our textbook. So right here is some pages that I sent you on your phone. And then I thought I would teach a lesson on YouTube so you can watch and listen. And then after you watch the video, you can complete your homework and then text a picture of your completed homework to me. You can write your answers and send them to me, or email, whatever is easy for you. All right, so the first part of our lesson today will be the United States in the 1800s. So let's see. This information will be about the United States in the 1800s. Let me go ahead and put myself over here so you can see me. All right, so this will be a little bit of a history lesson. So we will be talking about the questions. I will ask the question from the 100 questions, and I will show you the answer. I will wait a little bit after I ask each question to give you a chance to respond. All right, so this is a map of the United States. When the United States became a country, there were 13 states, right? Well, as the United States grew, they purchased the Louisiana Territory, and slowly Louisiana became a state, Missouri, Arkansas. All of this, the rest of this area became part of the United States through different wars that the United States fought. And so I just thought this video was a good illustration of how the United States grew. So let's go to the next slide. So this map is a map of the United States in 1803. 1803 is an important year to remember. Let me show you that there. So 1803, this was the Louisiana Purchase, or the Louisiana Territory. So in 1803, Thomas Jefferson, what did Thomas Jefferson do? Yes, he wrote the Declaration of Independence. He purchased this whole area from France. Now, remember, the French weren't the first people that lived there. Native Americans lived here first, right? That is something that we've talked about in class. So Native Americans lived here. They also lived here in this area that was owned by Spain. And this area, I believe, was Oregon country. It wasn't bought until about 50 years after this. So all of this land, like we said, we fought wars or we purchased it from another country. So this land was purchased. The rest of this land was won fighting Spain, Mexico, and other countries. So there were many wars in the 1800s. There was the Civil War, the War of 1812, the Mexican-American War, and the Spanish War. You only need to remember one, all right? So name one war fought by the United States in the 1800s. That's the question. Again, I'll say it. Name one war fought by the United States in the 1800s. Just need to remember, I think it's easy, the Civil War. If you hear the words territory and 1803, They are asking, what territory did the United States buy in 1803? Listen for those words, territory and 1803, and you will know the answer is Louisiana. Louisiana Territory, or Louisiana. So again, the question is, what territory did the United States buy from France in 1803? Louisiana. Please do not confuse this with the question about U.S. territories. This is current territories, or right now. So the question is, name one U.S. territory. You just need to remember one of these places. Okay, for me, it's easy to remember Puerto Rico. So name one U.S. territory, Puerto Rico. This is different than what territory did the United States buy from France in 1803? Louisiana is now a state. In 1803, it was a territory. All right. So let's talk about the Civil War. The Civil War was a very big war between the North and the South. In the 100 questions, they will ask you, name the U.S. war between the North and the South. That is the Civil War. The Civil War. So as you see here, and this picture, this is a war, people are fighting. This flag is the flag from the southern states, the South. And this flag is the flag from the northern states, or the North. And the two sides fought for about 5 years, from 1861 to 1865. Maybe you will still see this flag places. Some people say this is a racist flag. Some people say this is a flag about Southern tradition. There are many opinions about this. But if you see this flag, many times the people that are using it, they want to show that they are from the South, or they respect the South. The South and the North are one country today. It's not a different country if you go to the South or if you go to the North, but the differences are cultural. There are many cultural differences and different attitudes in different parts of the country, and even, if you listen, different accents. So one of the questions is, name one problem that led to the Civil War. So they give you 3 choices: slavery, economic reasons, or states' rights. The biggest reason for the Civil War was slavery. Remember the question, what people were brought to the United States and sold as slaves? And the answer is people from Africa, yes. So during the Civil War, people were not brought over from Africa anymore, but the people that had come and been brought in the 1600s and 1700s had children, grandchildren, and there were many African people, but they were actually African Americans because they were born here. But they were not free. They were still slaves. And the southern states did not want to end slavery. They wanted to keep having free workers so that they didn't have to pay them, and that they could continue growing cotton and tobacco and other crops in their farms. The northern states did not like this. They did not think this was fair. And so they wanted to end the practice of slavery and make the southern people pay slaves for their work. And they did not want to do this. So this was the main problem that led to the Civil War, slavery. So again, the question is, what is one problem that led to the Civil War? Slavery. All right, Abraham Lincoln. We all know Abraham Lincoln. We see his face everywhere in Illinois. He was a lawyer in Illinois, and he lived in Illinois for a long time before he became president. They will ask you, what was one important thing that Abraham Lincoln did? He did many things. He freed the slaves by writing the Emancipation Proclamation. He saved or preserved the Union. He did not let the country become divided. He kept the country together because the North won the Civil War, and he kept the country together. He also led the United States during the Civil War. You only need to remember one. So again, what was one important thing Abraham Lincoln did? He freed the slaves. That's easy to remember. It's also the answer to the next question. What did the Emancipation Proclamation do? It freed the slaves. You just need to remember one thing, and that's easy to remember. Freed the slaves. Right? So after the Civil War, the laws were changing. So in America right now, who can vote? All of these people, if they were alive, they could vote, right? Men, Black men, women, Black women, right? All women, all men, all people of different colors, ethnicities, languages. Everyone who is a citizen can vote. So in 1776, only white men could vote. After the Civil War, in 1869, Black men were allowed to vote. People of other ethnicities were allowed to vote. And then not until 1920 were white women allowed to vote. And Black women, actually. So in 1869, men of all colors or ethnicities that were citizens could vote. And then in 1920, all women could vote that were citizens. So that's just to show you the results of the Civil War is that African and African Americans were no longer slaves in the United States, and they got the right to vote. In a future lesson, we will talk about why that didn't happen until almost 1964. But that's a future lesson when we talk about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. All right, so when we're talking about women's rights to vote, this woman also lived in the 1800s. Her name is Susan B. Anthony. She fought for women's rights, or you can just say women's rights. So if you hear the question, what did Susan B. Anthony do? Women's rights. That's all you need to remember. Or you could say fought for women's rights. All right, so our next part of our lesson today is the Oath of Allegiance. So the Oath of Allegiance is the last part of your N400 application. They will ask you to sign saying that you promise to do certain things. And then at your citizenship ceremony, they call it an oath ceremony, you will take the oath of allegiance by raising your right hand and saying the oath in front of a judge and many people. So let's talk about the oath of allegiance now. So they will ask you in your in your interview for naturalization, they might ask you, what is an oath? An oath is a promise. What is allegiance? Allegiance means to be loyal. The oath of allegiance is a promise to be loyal. Practice listening and saying these answers because you might need to say them in your naturalization interview. These will be different parts of the oath of allegiance. In the oath of allegiance, they ask you to support and defend the Constitution. So what is defend? It means to fight for. What is the Constitution? The supreme law of the United States. This is also one of your civics questions. I promise to follow the law of the United States. You can also say, I promise to defend the law of the United States. Bear arms or non-combatant. What is bear arms? To use a weapon. What is non-combatant? To help without a weapon. They will ask you to promise to do both of these things. Are you willing to bear arms on behalf of the United States? Are you willing to perform non-combatant services for the United States? You will, if you are okay with this, say yes to both of these questions. And then they might ask you, what does it mean to bear arms? What does it mean to perform non-combatant services? Then you will need to answer these questions. I promise to protect and serve the United States. They also ask if you will perform work of national importance. What is national importance? An emergency in the United States. What is civilian direction? To obey non-military safety officials. I promise to help in an emergency. Do you take this obligation freely? You want to say yes, but what is obligation? Responsibility. When you take the oath of allegiance, you are taking the responsibility of becoming a United States citizen. What is freely? Freely means to do something because I want to. I am not forced. I want to become a United States citizen and take all of the rights and responsibilities of a United States citizen. All right. So thank you for participating in this lesson today. I hope this was helpful for you. Please remember to write your answers to the homework on a paper, take a picture, and send it back to me so I can help you with your answers and give you some feedback. All right. As always, if you have any questions, please text me or call me or email me. Take care. Have a good night. Thank you. Bye-bye.